Hey everybody, welcome back. And with talk of credit fatigue and an impending American Express Gold Card change and more credit fatigue with that, and potentially an American Express Platinum Card update later this year, or the launch of the new Citi Strata Elite, and who knows what Wells Fargo is doing with the Autograph Beyond, and I've heard that's maybe not the name, and Chase just sitting around having a cold one or something. I wanted to bring up the notion of a card that came out well ahead of its time, but the idea should be brought back, and every credit card issuer should consider a card like this in their arsenal of cards, especially as credit card issuers start moving, or will start moving, into a place where they don't want you to go outside of their lineup of cards. So I can definitely understand in the next couple of years, you could see American Express wanting you to put all of your spend on American Express, Capital One wanting to put all of your spend through Capital One, Chase just happy to be there for the ride, right? This style of card was actually pioneered by American Express back in 2010, and they put it out to the wrong audience in 2010. But if it was focused more toward those who like to push their spend through one ecosystem, but they want better reasons to do it, might work better. So the card I'm talking about was the American Express Zinc card. When the American Express Zinc card launched, it launched in 2010, right after the huge financial crisis, and targeted not specifically at 20-somethings and 30-somethings who are getting started in the credit card game, but not targeted to them, if you know what I mean. So the card had a $25 annual fee. Now, the card also came with a number of what they called packs that you could pay extra on the annual fee to get access to more things. They had a music pack that gave you 2 times membership reward dollars on concert tickets and access to pre-sale tickets. So think your ability to get access to Taylor Swift tickets before everyone else and get 2 times membership reward points on those tickets. Not super valuable now, but at the time, you paid a little bit of money. It was, I think, $20 for the music pack. There was a Go pack that gave you 2 times miles on airlines, I believe rentals and hotels. There was a food and wine pack that didn't match up with anything else. There was a dining pack. There was forgetting the last pack, but it was pretty interesting. There was a home, internet cable pack as well. So you could put all these packs together. Now, when you bought all of the packs, and you put it in the $25 annual fee, the whole annual fee for the card came out to about $130. And this was at a time where the American Express Green Card was $95. There were select versions of the American Express Gold Cards. Discerning credit card users at the time weren't going to buy into this card because you weren't getting a ton of value for it. But it would allow someone who was in their early 20s, or early 20s to early 30s, let's say, in their 20s, in their early 30s, who there weren't a whole lot of options for 2% cards at the time. So you're getting 2 times membership reward points on stuff that you really wanted to go out and buy. And that made a certain amount of sense. Now, talking about it now in 2024, in retrospect, it's like, wow, you really weren't offering your customers a whole lot, but you also weren't charging your customers a whole lot. So that was sort of the trade-off. And it was to get people into the American Express ecosystem and get them to look at the gold card, to get them to look at the green card, get them to look at the platinum card, so that you could get them in early and have them stay with American Express till today. And I'm sure there's a small number of American Express cardholders who got in with the Zinc card and then proceeded to get either the green or the gold or the platinum, or got other American Express co-branded credit cards, other American Express cards overall. Definitely, there are a few edge cases like that. But the reason I'm talking about the Zinc now is the Zinc card. Let's move the Zinc card away from some things, or those just getting started in the credit card game, right? It was a charge card, so there was no interest associated. You had to pay it off every month. And it came with everything else that American Express charge cards had: rental car insurance, access to American Express customer service, not Centurion customer service or Platinum customer service, but American Express customer service, family planning, the ability to coordinate for a family trip, all of these things, right? But this was 2010. Now, the card lasted, I believe, for applications until about 2014, and then the card was discontinued for public application. It still continued to be supported for about another 6 years. And in 2020, folks were moved off of the Zinc card to another card. If I have my history on that correct, let me know down in the comments just how wrong I may be, but that is my understanding of this card in the brief history that I was able to research. So the Zinc card presents something of that idea of modularity could work now, because there are plenty of folks who are green card, but you're missing out on lounge access. Lounge Buddy's not quite the same as walking into the Centurion Lounge. You're missing out on concierge service. You're missing out on FHR. You're missing out on all of the things that make the Platinum, right? A huge complaint with the Chase Sapphire Reserve is, well, the $300 travel credit is great, but like I can't offset the other $250 the way I can offset that with the American Express Platinum card, with the American Express Gold card, with the Chase Sapphire Preferred, even though it's a hotel credit I go out of my way to use just to prove that I can use it, except I wouldn't normally use it. But it offsets 50% of the annual fee. You have the Citi Strata Premier and its $100 credit on spending $500 in the Citi Travel Portal for a 2-night stay. You see where I'm going? You have the Capital One Venture X card with its $300 travel credit that can only be used in their travel portal. You have the Wells Fargo Autograph Journey with its $50 airline credit. Now, that is probably the easiest one that you don't have to think about, and you're still going to, I believe you'll double dip on points. I don't know. You'll get the $50 back pretty easily, and I think you'll still get 4 times points on every dollar after 50, or maybe every dollar including the 50. Either way. Right. There's a concern about credit. There's a credit from the card. There's a concern about credit fatigue. There's a concern about like your money's worth on these relatively expensive cards. Same thing with the Advantage Executive card. When it updated to the $595 annual fee, it went to $360 in credits that you could accumulate. It upped the annual fee for authorized users to 3 authorized users, $475. If you have authorized users on the Platinum card, that's an extra $200 a head that you have to take into account. And yeah, you can offset those with their global entry credits, and you can offset those with their ability to get into the Centurion Lounge and all of that, right? But what if there was a way from each issuer, a card that you could design to your spending habits, how you're planning to spend, and you have your car set up with the gen lender. So if it's Capital One, you have the Saver one, and you have probably this card. With Wells Fargo, you have the Autograph and you have the Active Cash. With Citi, you've got the Double Cash and the Custom Cash. With Chase, you've got the Freedom Unlimited and the Freedom Flex, and them continuing to sit on the couch just yelling for another cold one. You've got American Express giving you... Yeah, American Express is weird because they don't really have a core setup. They've got a trifecta at $945 with the gold and the platinum, and those are going to go up in annual fee. They don't offer anything on the low end of annual fees that still give tremendous value, right? You get okay value with the Everyday Preferred card, but American Express has forgotten that the Everyday Preferred card exists. They don't have a 2% flat card. They don't have anything below, after the green, they don't have anything that's really big value for customers. That really gets you in the ecosystem, spending in the ecosystem, flat 2%, or something that includes like gas or anything like that. They've got grocery, and they've got the kickers on the Everyday Preferred. Then you've got the co-branded cards. And that's why everybody says go get the Blue Business Plus, because it's 2 times points on up to $50,000 in spend. But not everybody wants to go out and have a business and actually have a business. So American Express, it gets a little weird, and the impending annual fee changes to like the gold and the platinum are going to make it worse. So a card that would have a flat annual fee like the Zinc card, and then you could add in or add and subtract as you see fit travel protections, elevated categories on things like, I don't want to say dining and whatever, but elevated categories that are outside of what your core setup cards can deliver for you, right? So if your core setup cards are giving you 3x on streaming, 3x on dining, 3x on gas, 3x on transit and travel, okay. You don't need those things at 3x, but you need streaming and internet and utilities at 3x or more. You get, a number of other categories that don't necessarily fall into what you can get a base of 2 and maybe some elevated here and there. I understand that I'm talking about the US Bank Cash Plus card, but I'm talking about a US Bank Cash Plus card that would be like higher annual fee, a higher floor that you could start with, but you still add and subtract as you see fit. And you're paying for the ability to do that. So if you don't need travel protections for a year, you don't have to say, well, do I cancel this card because I don't necessarily need it? Or could I contact my issuer and get them to remove the travel protections for the year I'm not traveling and save $50, whatever that equivalent part of your annual fee is. So I think there's a potential market for a modular card that keeps you in your ecosystem of choice, right? Because again, the banks are going to start moving you into wanting you to stay in their ecosystem. I think the best way. I think one way that would at least make that palatable to customers is, one, don't do that. Two, giving them the ability to choose what they want to pay for. And it didn't work with the Zinc just because the Zinc launched in a time where the target audience for the card wasn't going to be able to find reliable work, didn't have stability. I know this because I'm that generation. We didn't get a lot of promised life that you get to live after you go to college, because in college, the financial world melted down, and then it took years to get out of that, right? Some of us got to live that. Others of us chose a different path in life that, didn't help the stability factor at all. But we're still dealing with that reckoning today. Some of us have gotten out of it. Some of us are working on getting out of it. Some of us are still stuck in that bunker of, yeah. But I think each bank could definitely offer something along the lines of a modular type card that would choose the benefits that you're willing to pay for. Swap those benefits in and out. You could do it quarterly, you could do it semi-annually, you could do it yearly. It doesn't really matter how you do it, but instead of having to offer, credits that become homework for your card users, you could offer them the ability to swap in and out things that they're willing to use in any given year. So if you're someone who travels all the time, you're going to want that access to luxury hotel options. If you're someone who's not going to be traveling that often, maybe you trade that away for higher earnings on streaming, higher earnings on cable, higher earnings on utilities, insurance bills, something, earnings on rent, this and the other, right? So the idea of the modular card came out in 2010 and was ahead of its time. No other company kind of wanted to touch it after the American Express Zync collapsed. But there have been small moves here and there. The Freedom Flex doesn't count. Citi Custom Cash sort of works for this use case because it just automatically determines what your highest spend category is, and folks who go out and get the Custom Cash will pick their category and just make sure that they spend less than $500 in that category and get those 5 times thank you points. The Active Cash is the best version of this, where it's a no annual fee card, up to $2,000 in spend per quarter, 2 5 times categories, 1 3 times category, 1x everything else, and it supplements your other cards from US Bank very well. I think there's a path that could pursue, that American Express maybe should pursue, that Citi could pursue, and Wells Fargo could definitely pursue. And again, they're just along for the ride, man. They're just happy to be part of the conversation now. But there's definitely a card that could be designed like that from each issuer. Oh, Capital One, sorry. I still don't know what Capital One is doing. But the travel issuers could definitely look at this card as a way of keeping you in the ecosystem and getting you to stay with them and be able to have a card that works for you a little bit better than some of the other offerings. Now, if the Sapphire Reserve works for you, great. If the Citi Strata, Elite, Prestige, whatever works for you, great. If the American Express Platinum will continue to work for you at $800 or $1,000, great. If the American Express Green still works for you at $150, awesome. Not taking away from those cards, but there may be a space for the modular card. I think the more you think about it, the modular card is sort of whatever you want to make of it and whatever you're willing to pay for it, depending on how it's put together. Whatever you're willing to pay for it is still money going to the issuer of your choice. So I think everybody would still win. But we know it failed with the Zinc card. I'm not saying that they need to bring these cards out now, but as a thought experiment, each issuer would benefit from a card that would allow you to kind of in and out as you see fit. But that's giving customers choice, and nobody wants to do that. I don't know. Just weird things I think of on this holiday day. So if you watch to the end, thank you so much for watching. If you like what I do, hit the like and subscribe button. We are now 100 away from 1,000. I still can't believe that. Definitely feel free to subscribe if it's something you like. There are other ways to support me down in the pinned comment. You can also, just let me know down in the comments what you think of this comment. But anything would help. Check out the pinned comment. Check out other videos here-ish or here-ish. I don't know where the videos will pop up. There'll be 2 videos and my face asking you to subscribe over the end card as I'm talking for the final 5 seconds. So thank you for watching. Talk to you guys soon. Bye for now.